Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Obviously, you can see Blues President of Hockey Operations, Doug Armstrong, sitting here. We'll take your questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll click on you and admit you. And Army would like to make an opening statement. So go ahead, Army.
Well, first of all, thanks for everyone for joining us on short notice. Today's a bittersweet day, I think, for myself and the St. Louis Blues organization. First, I'd like to congratulate Alexander Steen on a fabulous NHL career, getting to 1,000 games, winning a Stanley Cup, being part of this franchise for as long as possible is fantastic. Obviously, no one wants to, everyone would like to leave the game on their own terms, and unfortunately, Alexander's back is forcing him into retirement. So that's a difficult spot. Also, myself and the Blues organization would like to congratulate Alexander and Josephine on the birth of a bouncing baby boy last night, and wish them nothing but the best. And with that, I'll open up to any questions you may have.
Doug, what just stands out to you about Steener's career, what he meant off the ice as well as on?
Well, on the ice, he was a player that I think the management and coaching staff, and more importantly, his teammates knew what they were going to get on a nightly basis. He didn't play a sexy game or an easy game, but he played a winning game. He was willing to sacrifice his body. In his prime, he touched both ends of your special teams. A player that would close games out for you by blocking shots, by winning those ugly wall battles to secure leads. He's had some huge playoff goals for this franchise, and that's what I'll remember. Just the way that he played the game, what would be quote unquote the correct way every night. Off the ice, I think. When he got here, a little bit of a history. I was working for a different organization at the time, managing, and our pro scout at that time told me that there was two players that he really liked in Toronto, were Carla Koliakovo and Alexander Steen. And so when I got here, I shared that information with Larry Plow just in my job and player personnel. And about 2 or 3 months later, Larry said, I talked to Toronto, I think we can make that trade. And I said, well, which one are you going to get? And he said, both. I said, well, that's why you're the manager and I'm an assistant right now, or player personnel. I thought Larry did a great job in bringing those two players into our organization because I knew what they could do, or we liked what they could do on the ice. And then off the ice, Steener became the spokesman really in the locker room. He matured and became the voice of reason, someone that I could trust as a manager to get the organizational message, but more importantly, the coaches could trust. And when I hear people that I respect a lot that played here, whether it's Scotty Upshall, I heard talk about Steener in the summer, Brendan Morrow, Barrett Jackman, Steve Ott, guys that played with them. The consistent response was he was the pulse of our locker room. He was the one year in, year out that could say the difficult things. And I think what endeared Steener to his teammates was as a 20-minute player, he did whatever he could do to give us a chance to win. And then as his career extended and the injuries piled up and the ability to touch every aspect of our game was dwindling, he still did whatever he could do to win. And when you look at the 2019 team, the sacrifices that he made from where he played maybe 2 years before to how he finished that year as being a guy that minutes were reduced, but his responsibility had risen. And so that's the things I remember about Steener on and off the ice was what a great competitor he was on the ice, but more importantly, what a great leader he was for our organization off the ice.
Doug, how did that, would you say that leadership come from? Does it just come from a player's personality? Did Steen just have it in him, or?
Well, I think part of it, Jimmy, was that he grew up in a hockey family. He's been immersed in the NHL since his childhood, so I think he understood. He saw the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things, and he was a player that I didn't realize this, quite honestly, till his career was extended. he does a lot of things behind the scenes that I didn't know about, that other people didn't know about, as far as mentoring young players, holding them accountable, but also giving them a shoulder to cry on, for a better term, for no better term. But he would push guys to be their best. The work that I think he did, I think everyone knows what we have now in Ryan O'Reilly, the work that he does with young players on the ice after practice. Alexander was someone that I had never seen take care of his body off the ice as much. The amount of his own personal finances he would put into making sure that he had the best care, doing the most he could do to prepare himself every night. And I think that that is trickled down into some of our players now that learned that this doesn't come easy. You don't play as long as Alexander did. You don't have the success just by showing up and hoping it all works out. You have to put those hours in, and those hours were tedious, they were long. He put his body through a lot. Quite honestly, I was surprised last year that he was able to get through the season as well as he did, missing as few numbers of games as he did. And when I saw him in the bubble, quite honestly, the hours that he would put in with our medical staff and training staff, just to give himself hopefully the opportunity to play, and the angst he had on his face when he knew he couldn't play, when our team needed everyone on board against Vancouver. I saw how that weighed on him, and that part was difficult.
Next question, Randy Carricker with 101 ESPN. Go ahead, Randy.
Army, you're describing a guy who sounds like he'd be really valuable to an organization after his playing days are over. Number one, do you envision Steener as being that sort of a guy? And number two, if you do, have you discussed that with him?
No. Well, we discussed most importantly his health right now, and when the season ended, the bubble ended. He wanted to get back and see his children in Sweden. He got back there. He was rehabbing, hoping to play. He and I had a lot of conversations on how that was coming, and I'm thinking, give it some time, he'll come back. And he says he can't get out of the car. He can't tie his shoes. So at that point, I understood that we had to be understanding that sometimes, the clock runs out, and that. So then I wanted to work with him on what the next phase was, and we haven't. He's someone I certainly could see staying in the NHL, but as I said, he and Josephine just had their second child. There's a lot more to life than just hockey, and I think if he wants to stay in the game, he has all the pedigree to coach, to manage, to do really whatever he wants.
Army, this is Jeremy. A lot had to happen for you guys to win the Stanley Cup, a lot of sacrifice, but where would you rank Alexander Steen's acceptance of that limited role and kind of given that fourth line an identity, which was your team's identity in that cup?
Well, if it's a percentile, I'd say it's 100%. You're only strong as your weakest link, and I'm not saying that Alex was our weakest link, but he made sure that winning was more important than anything for him personally. He and I had talked about, I remember a conversation we had at Starbucks once, and we had traded Paul Stastny, and he felt that we were closing the window on his chance to win a championship, and he was honest. He said, I have to win, I want to win, I need that in my resume. And we said as an organization, just if you can just trust the process, we do have some ideas on how we can improve our team, and he bought into that. And to buying into that, we brought in players that were going to take his ice time, and he never batted an eye on that. As a competitor, he wanted to be out there at the end of every game. As a competitor, he wanted to be on the first power play. As a competitor, he wanted to be the guy that was playing 19 or 20 minutes a night. But that never superseded his desire to be part of a championship and winning team. And when you saw the sacrifices that he made that in 2019, allowing players like Schwartz to grow, allowing players like Tarasenko to grow, and supporting them, whether it was new players like Shannon O'Reilly, bringing Perron back, he was the voice that was telling everybody that if we all sacrifice a little, we'll all have a memory for a lifetime. And I'm so happy that he does have that memory that I hope will last he and his teammates the lifetimes.
Army, I had another. It appears after signing Vince Dunn at some point and Tarasenko coming back at some point, you'd have about $4 million in cap space. What's your outlook on the possibility of maybe signing another player forward? What do you plan to do with what extra money you might have?
Well, the positive, it doesn't have to be spent in the next 48 hours. There's in-season and off-season LTI room JR, and it's quite complicated. I have Ryan Miller, who we just made assistant general manager. That's his field of expertise, and we're walking through all those different things, knowing now that it is a reality. But we could have some money to spend here between now and the start of the season when Alexander will go on LTI, or we could potentially move some money and get more money if we do it in season. So again, I don't want to get too in depth because it is complicated, but there could be an opportunity for us to add players either prior to the season or into the season.
Doug, just for bookkeeping purposes, you will be putting him on LTIR at the start of the season, whenever that is.
Yeah, Tommy. What happens there is we've obviously gone through all the medical stuff with him. He's talked to our doctors. He's talked to doctors in Sweden. We've come to the conclusion that there's nothing he's going to be able to do to get his back ready to play again. But that doesn't go on until he comes in and he fails the medical. Vladdy will fail the medical also, meaning they're not ready to start. And at that point, you can either put them on LTI, and that's off-season LTI, or wait and put them on in-season LTI, which clears up different cap spaces. Again, it's a complicated formula, but he won't go on LTI either till training camp and he fails the medical, or into the season and we do it. You can't do it right now, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Doug, you could tell up in the bubble that he just wasn't moving right. Was this something, to your knowledge, that had started with a specific incident, or is just a whole career worth of wear and tear on the back?
I think it's a whole career. As I said, I was surprised last year when I heard some of the things he was doing off the ice to prepare to play, and that was at 11 or 12 minutes a night that Craig could get the most out of him. And he was doing a lot just to survive and to help the team any way he could. And then we got into the bubble. You could tell that there was things that he just didn't feel right. And you always hope that something happens, something clicks. But and again, I don't want to get too deep into his own medical records. I think that's for him to talk about. But when you talk to the doctors and you do the MRIs, you do all the work that they do, and it comes back a certain amount of information that we were given, I was shocked, quite honestly, that he lasted how long he did, and that's a testament to him. But I think I said maybe in the summertime where you can play 1,000 games in this league different ways. He didn't play 1,000 easy games. He played 1,000 hard games. And he did all the small detailed thing that increase the wear and tear on your body.
Since last year, you've lost, obviously Bo and Petro, now Steen, and I guess we could throw Jake Allen into the mix too in terms of veteran players. That's a lot of leadership that you won't have on this year's team. Where will that leadership come from then?
Well, it sure is, and I think that's just sort of the nature of pro sport, that that terminology, the king is dead, long live the king. Really what we need to do now is hope that next tier of players have gained the knowledge from Bouwmeester, have gained the knowledge from Steen on what it takes to win and what it takes to lead. I'm not big in you have to verbalize what you need to do. You have to do it and have them follow. And Bouwmeester and Steen, retired as Blues, gave obviously their body to the Blues and to the NHL, and I think our players can learn from that. And with Petro and Jake too, they were important players on our team. So I'm hoping that everyone's learned from these guys on what it took to be successful, and now they have to lead the charge. The Montreal Canadiens have the famous torch that's passed, and quite honestly, the torch is being passed.
Let's go to Greg with KTVI.
Yeah, just to follow up on that.
Sorry, Greg, I lost you there, bud.
Oh, can you hear me?
There, you're back.
Okay. I'm just wondering, to follow up on that, who in that next tier have the Alexander Steens, the Jay Bowmeisters, the Jake Allens? Who have they rubbed off on most, and who are you counting on to take on that leadership?
Well, I would say someone like Schwartzy that's been here, and Tarasenko. Vladdy's worn a letter for a number of years, but someone like Schwartzy that's been around, that's been part of a successful franchise really since the day he's arrived. I'm expecting and hoping that he can take a big part of that. Vladdy, we've brought players in from different organizations, whether it's a Shannon O'Reilly. Parenko has to do that. Falk wore a letter in Carolina. So I think that Krug, obviously, when you sign someone to that length of a contract, you're hoping that not only they can provide leadership or good play on the ice, but leadership off the ice. So there's a number of guys that I think can do it. The homegrown guys, I think, will have gained the most from Alexander Steen, Jay Bowmeister, and hopefully what Robert Thomas went through as a rookie. Those are things that hopefully he can build on as he propels his leadership. And I know I'm missing guys, but I think in today's NHL, you go back to what we talked about earlier. You're strong as your weakest link, and we need our weakest link to be very strong for us to have success.
Let's do a couple more for Army.
Doug, with now that you have this money, maybe not officially as we sit here now, will this accelerate things on Vince Dunn at all?
No, they're not connected. Vince, it's sort of like all of our contracts. We're behind the scenes. We're working towards getting something done, and I know Vince hopes it happens soon. I hope it happens soon, but nature will take its course, and when it happens, we'll have an announcement.
Doug, how's Vladdy doing with his rehab, and is he still on course for the target you set?
Yeah, he's doing very well. It's just celebrated the 3-month anniversary of the surgery, so he's on track. He's here. He's working out. He's got a smile on his face. He's a pleasure to be around and have at the rink right now, in the sense that he's excited that the surgery went well, and he sees the light at the end of the tunnel. And we're on track to get him back, reevaluate in 5 months, and see where he's at. But we're excited knowing that when he is healthy and in the lineup, we're that much of a stronger team.
You alluded before to Ryan Miller. Are you still looking for a director of amateur scouting?
No, Tony Feltrin is going to maintain that role for us for this year. Tom, it's such a strange time in society, but in sport also. The number of games that aren't being played certainly outweigh the number of games being played in amateur hockey, and so the continuity of Tony Feltrin and Danny Janelle leading our charge there is the way we're going to go for this season.
Well, and just in general, it seems like a season is coming soon. Are you ready to get going?
You bet I am. It's been a long off season, strange off season. We try and eliminate the white noise of in bubble, out of bubble, how many games you're going to play. We're focused on January 3rd, having some form of training camp and starting on the 13th. The one thing that excites me as a manager and part of an organization like the Blues is the true feeling of leaving something on the table last year as an organization, and the number of players we have here skating and their singular focus on getting off to a good start has been impressive, and I can't wait for them to be able to put their skates on for real and go and prove that they're the team that I think they can be.
Is all of the team in St. Louis now? Are you still missing a couple guys like Kostin and Torpchenko? Are they still over in Russia?
Yeah, they're continuing to play, and I think that's best for them to continue to play right now. But the majority of the North American players, almost all the North American players are here, and the Swedish players. So There's a good number of players here preparing to get ready to play.
All right. Army, thanks for doing that. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Mike. And I probably won't have a chance to see everyone again, so please wish you and your families a great holiday season, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the rink real soon.